Okay, hi. I'm PhookiNada Blair, and this is not the way I meant to make this video. But apparently, my editing software decided that if I want to make a video that's anywhere longer than 20 minutes, no matter what I do to the video, it's going to crash the program. It doesn't crash my computer, it crashes the program. So I don't know what's going on. So while I find a new editing software to work on, I'm just going to live commentary my solo fight. This is my 30th completion of my 30th completion of Alatreon that I'm showing here. What I was going to do was make a video that was more like my How to Fight Raging Brachydios video, where I went over the build and items and his moves and all that. But like I said before, my editing software won't let me do that. And I had a 30-minute video ready to go, and everything I tried to do crashed, and I had to scrap the whole video, and I need to get something out. So I'm using the insect glaive here. That is my main weapon. In a lot of my videos I use the longsword or greatsword, but that's just for fun. I think they're fun weapons. But I'm running full Safi Jiva with a Kiar ice insect glaive. My temporal mantle has 2 ice element in it to give me 6 ice element. That's why I put it on immediately in the beginning of the fight. Usually I'm able to weaken his Eschaton Judgment twice before he does it with this setup, so the elemental damage is very high. I was actually supposed to take clips from this fight to show you all the best openings and whatnot, but I'm just going to show you the full fight instead, and if I can find a better editing software, I will use that and do a more detailed guide to his moves, but I'll try to explain that while the fight's going on here. So I'm going for the mount right now, so I can get as much damage onto the horns as possible. But you'll see that I'm just playing kind of sloppily since the temporal mantle is on right now. But as soon as it's off, I'll be a little bit more... I got the mount right there. A little bit more careful. So for the Alatreon mount, there's only 2 things he does. He flails... I don't remember that happening. He flails or he flies. When he flies, you always want to brace. Do not move. When he flails, then he can move. His horns are an extremely weak spot, so it's so weak that actually tenderizing his horns is a bit redundant. You want to tenderize his back legs or his front legs. There's a couple attacks in here that I think you should absolutely avoid. So when those pop up, I will say so. But his front legs and his head are a very weak spot, so if you want to get the really fast weaken on his Eschaton Judgment, that's where you want to focus, although it can be kind of dangerous there. With Insect Glaive, you have mobility, so a lot of these attacks can be dodged, or you can keep up with him when he's flying away. It's kind of a cheat code in that case. Part of the reason why I like it. Trying to keep my damage up here. Now, if you heard that little weird screech he made, he will make that audio cue specifically when he's doing that spinning attack. So if you're trying to get into a safe spot, if you want a little bit of extra time to find out where you should go, listen for that roar. You'll notice whenever he uses that retreating fire blast, he usually follows up with 2 rapid attacks. In that case, he followed up with another fire blast and then his electric volley. That attack right there, that big body slam, you absolutely want to avoid that attack as much as possible. When that attack when that attack hits you, it'll flatten your hunter and it'll leave you open to another attack, and more often than not, you will die. You'll see I just rolled through that attack right there. There's actually a very small window where, even without evade window, you can just roll right through that attack and keep yourself close to him and his horns. When he does that long fire breath, that's another big opening on his horns right there. You see I keep going in for little pokes on his horns. I don't commit too much. I am running one level of Heartbreaker though, just to make sure I can get the horns down as fast as possible, and then just get right back to damage. There's that little screech again. So I was standing in the wrong place. He doesn't do like a circle exactly, he kind of crosses over himself. So that one can be a little bit hard to dodge. Right there I messed up the timing in that roll, almost died. That's the other attack you absolutely do not want to get hit by, as I get hit by it, because that one also flattens you. I got lucky there because I was up against the wall. But usually the follow-up attack will hit you and it'll really hurt, or it'll kill you. Now I'm doing something really dangerous here, and I'm staying really close to the edge of the arena while I'm kind of surrounded by ice. If he does any of his electric attacks, I will be trapped. You'll see I just snuck into that tiered explosion attack. If you can get inside of that while the other two explosions are going off, you get a huge opportunity to hit his horns. Sorry if my commentary is kind of rapid fire, but I haven't done live commentary on any of my fights before. There he goes for that big field AoE electric attack. The little circles that appear in the ground when he does that attack are kind of deceptive. There I got the weaken again. They're kind of deceptive though, because those lightning bolts have very specific hitboxes, and you can be pretty close to those glowing circles and not get hit by them. That's why you'll see I don't really take that move too seriously. I don't really respect it, I just go straight for him whenever he uses it. Right there I got hit by it, but I was able to roll through the other explosions. You'll see I'm playing aggressive almost to the point of recklessness, but that's kind of how I've learned to handle the Alatreon fight. Right there we got the drooling state, but I messed up and I wasn't able to take advantage of it, so I just went up and poked him instead. When you're blue sharpness, you'll bounce off his chest though. That's why I highly suggest bringing Wet Fish Fin Pluses with you if you're running melee. Don't have to use speed sharpening then. So here I'm using... Alright, so Eschaton Judgment's popping up, and since I weakened him twice, I don't really have to respect it too much, so I can throw down a health booster and just sharpen. I brought a Might Seed, so as soon as he's back in Ice active, I can really, really ramp up my damage. If I had a Might Pill, I would take it too, but I did not. I'm probably going to put on my Temporal here too, increase my Ice damage, and then I go at him again. So, since I've explained a lot about what I do in reaction to his moves so far, I'm going to go ahead and talk about builds real quick. Here, I'm using full Safi Jiva with a Kiar weapon, which is just like the go-to set for fighting him. But if you don't have any Safi Jiva armor, or you don't have any Kiar weapons, then I highly suggest you go for a fire or ice weapon. Just make sure you know which state he's going to be in when you start the quest. And if you have to go for a normal monster's weapon, Silver Rathalos weapons are really good for fire, and Shrieking Legion are really good for ice. You can use Nominal Divinity, True Nominal Divinity, Crit Element, or True Crit Element to increase your elemental damage. I would personally go with Crit Element because all the crit skills that synergize with it. You can make a Master's Touch Crit Element build if you want. Get that infinite sharpness, decent elemental damage. But you always want to run as much elemental attack as possible, because then you could do things like that. Ideally, you want to weaken his Eschaton Judgment while he's in his fire or ice active, because then, as soon as he goes dragon active, you can see me whiffing a whole combo here. Very embarrassing. I was so upset at myself. But as soon as he goes in dragon active, you can focus right on his horns, and if you can break the horns early during dragon active, then you could just focus on damage. Yeah. As he gets lower, he tends to use a lot more evasive attacks more often. That sweeping dragon breath is one of them. If you're not close enough to just get under his neck while he uses that attack, you can roll through it, even without a Vade window. I do have a Vade window here. That's why I keep mentioning it. I think I have 3 levels. But that's natural esophageal armor. You can see he's just pounding my cat over there. If you're someone that doesn't like to use the Palico in the fight, this does become way, way harder. Personally, I very much like having my Palico around. And you'll notice I'm not using Coral Horn with him. Here I just barely get the chance to roll through. But I'm not using Coral Horn with him. I'm actually using Molotov Cocktail. Molotov Cocktail does do elemental damage, and it does do a lot of it. I have my cat using the Alatreon weapon, so just in case my elemental damage was slacking and I got into Dragon Active without weakening the Judgment, my cat can help me more there. My cat has actually weakened him a couple times all on its own. So let's see here. The flails, I'm gonna jump over. And then he should fly. Oh, he did not. Yeah, I know the commentary is kind of rapid fire and the fight's kind of fast. I'm sorry I can't get as much information out as I wanted, but as soon as I can come across better editing software, I'll be coming out with a much slower paced, more informational video. So here I wait for 2 explosions and go in. Roll. It's doing the sweeping fire breath, so that's easy free damage for me. A little note for Insect Glaive users. When he's breathing that ice breath into the sky, that actually isn't part of the attack. You can fly right in front of it and it won't hurt you. For those who are wondering, the Kinsect I'm using is one of the healing Kinsects with a really high speed. I have Ice Element on it also. My Kinsect has weakened his Eschaton Judgment, so surprisingly can help. Those rapid fire ice and water bullets, that's a good opportunity to clutch into his face and knock him into the ground if you want. I don't actually like clutch clawing him in this fight. I think it's a little bit too risky, and the time you spent trying to clutch onto his face could be better spent just hitting him. Just personal opinion though. I won't deny that Clutch Claw is very powerful. In fact, if you have Part Breaker on and you're playing solo, Clutch Claw and throwing his face into a wall can instantly break the horn sometimes. There we got another drooling state. Now I got thorn pods in the ground, but surprisingly I didn't go for them. I don't know why. I think at this point I was just really trying to beat my record. But I also had a feeling that he'd be close to Eschaton Judgment, so I wanted to make sure I got the double weaken. The fastest I've gotten so far has only been with fire. I don't think my ice weapon puts out as much damage as my fire weapon does, but for today my event quest was he starts off in fire active, so very important thing about Insect Glaive is spacing. You saw I waited until I was a little bit lower into the ground, then I went for his face. You can get all of those strong advancing jumping slash attacks onto his face, and it does a lot of damage. Yep. Here's the Eschaton Judgment. This time I actually healed through it because I started off with much lower health. And I knew if I used the Wet Fish Fin, I'd be able to get the Sharpen off before he really started moving. I think I take this time to put Temporal on. Normally I use earplugs, but this time around, since I had evade window, you can either roll through the roar or just deal with it. It's much better to just have as much damage as possible in this fight. And that's really what this is. You kind of just go with a glass cannon elemental build and just go at him with everything you have. Understanding his attacks, understanding his openings, and really being able to play patient is what will allow you to have consistent success on this fight. So I roll through that explosion. This fight's not very nice to people that like to run more defensive builds or stay back a lot more, which kind of sucks. Because honestly, that's how I like to play. But being able to solo him reminded me a lot of the hunts I did in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. I fought a lot of the bigger monsters solo on G rank, and those are some of the best challenges I've had in a video game. Soloing Alatreon in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate was much, much easier than this, though, to be honest. He didn't have any water attacks. His ice attacks were kind of laughable. If there's anything you take out of this video, take the opening from that tiered explosion. It gives you so much extra damage. You will see if you're able to master dodging that attack. Because if he doesn't hit you with the initial fireball, it won't knock you down. It'll just set the tiers on the ground, so you can just check where they're going to explode and then roll into it. But if I'm looking at the time correctly, I think this fight should be over soon. I believe I kill him in the air. I actually don't know if you can kill him while he's charging up his Eschaton Judgment, so if anybody actually watches this and they know, please let me know. That would be really funny. I think at the end of this, there's a little clip of me going to the item box to show what I had, and the canteen to show what food I ate. But before that pops up, I will just talk about it real quick. So the custom food I made was 6 vegetables for elemental resistance up large. It gives you 15 additional elemental defense in all elements. Mixed with the Safi Jiva armor, that means you'll get above 20 in basically everything except for dragon. I'm personally running full blight resistance, so I don't have to deal with the blights anyway. Let's see. 4 of those vegetables are purple, so you get Feline Medic. It increases how much health you get from your recovery items. And then 2 of those are orange for Feline Riser High. So when I'm on the ground, it'll take... I'll be invincible for longer when I'm getting up off the ground. It's very, very helpful for dodging his combos. See, when Alatreon hits you with those big attacks where I said do not get hit by them, he will always follow up with something. But some of his other attacks, which just like stagger you a little bit, he will focus you if you get hit cleanly by one of his attacks. So you don't want to get comboed down by him. He's very aggressive. Just like fighting Devil Joe, who is a very aggressive monster, the key to just absolutely stomping the fight is to be more aggressive than him. As for items, I didn't really bring anything special other than Might Seeds, Wet Fisherman Plus. I brought my Mega Demon Drug, Mega Armor Skin. I brought Dash Juice, so my first mount would be as easy as possible. But I guess that's about it. It sucks that this wasn't as informational as I could have made it. I would have talked a little bit more about how the hitboxes seem to work and whatnot with his attacks. But maybe this will help somebody that's out there using Insect Glaive. Maybe something I said in the commentary will, I don't know, open some eyes. Or maybe the way I performed during the hunt, it'll show you how to dodge some of those attacks. I was playing pretty aggressively. And like I said, I was playing almost recklessly because I wanted to try and break my record, which I didn't do, by the way. I came close, but I did not break my record. I think my record's like 16 minutes and 40 seconds. Which I was peeved about that because that record actually had a very big blunder. I didn't faint, but I spent a really long time healing up at one point, and then I realized after I healed up, he was only one hit from dead. I could have probably gotten like a sub 15 minutes if I'd really paid attention there. But yeah, here I'm showing my food. And I think that's it. I will definitely try my hardest to come back with a more informational video in the future. But maybe by then everybody will have beaten Alatreon. And also, before the video ends, I used to say Alatreon, and I think a lot of other people did, but apparently his name's Alatreon, so it still feels weird to say. Okay, anyway. I'm PhookiNada Blair, and it's been a long time since I've posted, but I've been locked indoors, and my editing software sucks. So, I'm trying my best. Please join me to talk about some other random crap some other time. Was that my outro? Is that how my outro worked? I don't know. Happy hunting.